Hey there YouTube, welcome back to a rather delayed update video. So basically in this video I'm basically going to run you through all of the Maladum figures that I've painted. I've basically managed to complete the complete base game, so the Kickstarter version of the game, which comes with a fair amount of extra miniatures actually. And I also managed to complete this Bad Guy Expansion pack, the Revenant Retribution, which is basically just more or less duplicates of all the bad guys if you want to basically reinforce them, make the game a bit harder. I always like having an extra box of bad guys, and I have done for both of the previous battle system games I've got to, so like Core Space and although I haven't actually done much with Firstborn, I have also got enemy reinforcements for those for that game too. So first of all, I'll show you the quick view of the box. So this is the box that came, and you can see all the miniatures are, excuse the ring light shining off. All the miniatures are painted, and the main box here. Again, you can see it looks really nice with all the painted miniatures, and down here is where the Kickstarter exclusives were, and I'm not going to actually keep those figures down there for long. They'll eventually go into their own box, because obviously they have no like protective cutout for them. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit like some of my previous run-throughs I've done, where I utilise the character cards along with the figure, and this has kind of two purposes. It shows you the artwork of the original character, and also you can see if I've followed the artwork or I've branched off in my own direction. And again, I've probably said this before, but I tend to struggle a lot more with fantasy figures than I do with either science fiction or sort of even like modern military stuff. I don't know why, but I guess I've spent so long doing Napoleonic uniforms, because if you think about it, I've probably spent about 4 years straight, more or less, doing Napoleonics. But at the same time, anything different I was doing was more or less always sci-fi, so I always managed to have more sort of inkling towards, I guess, a science fiction colour scheme than a sort of fantasy colour scheme. But I am, overall, I'm really quite happy with how the guys turned out, and I would say that I'm pretty happy with all the figures that I've painted. I don't think there's any that I particularly hate, apart from one particular one which I just don't like the character, but I'll point them out when we get to him. So first of all, we're going to start off with the Bad Guy Expansion pack. Now I did actually do them in two schemes, because if you look at the this is the threat scale that you use during the game, and this basically tells you how many bad guys are going to turn up each turn. So let me just move that light up a bit. There we go. Try and get it into shot. So as you can see, this is also double-sided to make it more difficult. But as you can see, when you're down here in the low area, you've basically only got the most basic of bad guys appearing, and then as the threat scale goes up, there's more and more chance of more and more nasty things appearing. And of course, I think there's 5 types of enemy altogether. I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's elite versions of all of those, so a little bit more than that. So first of all, I'm going to start off with this is the Bad Guy Expansion box, like I said. And we're going to start off with the Lamentors. So these guys are the basic bad guys. I'm not going to run through all of these guys, I'll just show you some of them. So this is my basic Lamentor scheme. Let's bring the light down a little bit more. So I was really happy with how this turned out. It's pretty similar to the artwork. It's not exactly, but I was really happy with the sort of skin tone that came out, and the I can't remember what colour I used for their insides, but they got sort of like glowy bits that are more pink than the regular ones. So this is like a bog standard Lamenter, and also for basing, I did like using a paint pen. I drew like cobblestones on the base, and just used the AK paint pen to do a little bit of shadowing on them. And it's like, they're not the best, but when you put them onto the board, it actually looks not too bad. And I was really quite worried about what to do about the bases, so I think that worked out really, really well in the end. So these guys are the Mentors, and you get them in 4 poses, 4 or 5 poses, 4 poses. So that's the Elementals, and then we have the Elite Elementals. And for these guys, I decided to go for a black and like high glow, sort of almost a luminescent green. And this, so basically, you can use these as normal Elementals as well. But I thought that when there are elite ones around, then these would be able to help distinguish between the 2 types. And I really like the way the sort of a luminous paint turned out. The actual paint colour that I used for these is a combination of the Army Painter's Data System Glow with some Vallejo Game Colour fluorescent green. This being the base and this being the sort of highlight. And I think it comes out really well. It certainly comes out well in the light anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So that is the Elementals, the 2 types of Elemental. Next up, we're going to go for the Myra. So there's only 3 sculpts for the Myra, and these guys are basically more or less like armoured skeletons, I guess. But they've also got like lots of growth on them, like various roots and stuff like that, entangling them and growing through them and stuff. And as well as like sort of mutated like metal spikes as well. So this is like one of them. I was really happy with how they came out. I was a little bit dubious about starting them. I more or less copied the artwork. So I don't actually have a picture of the proper artwork for these guys handy, but yeah, I'm really quite pleased with the colour scheme I chose for those guys. So let's just get the other 2 out. So these are other 2 versions. So we have this rather cool one here with almost like 2 mutated metal blades on his arms. And it looks like a sort of a rock troll skull on the ground there. And the 3rd one, you can definitely see the sort of root detail. This one's actually kind of mutated a second head. The sort of the magic and the magic that's brought these guys to life is like really meant to be quite evil. So that is your basic Myra or Myria. And oops, wrong way around. No. So, and then I'll show you the elite one when we get to the main box. But for the last thing on this particular, there we go. The last type of creature in this particular expansion box is the Hellfont. Now, I'm not 100% sure what these things started as, but I've got a funny feeling it could be a kind of corrupted version of a Drakon. which is, obviously fair. It's got similarities. Obviously, it's completely mutated, and it's also actually got a vat of like sort of highly toxic chemicals, kind of being pumped into it too, which is like this green canister on its back. But yeah, pretty cool beast. And like I say, definitely similarities to that particular Drakon type wandering monster. So I reckon that's what these things started as. Yeah, I've only done like one basic version of these things, even though I think there are elite versions of them available. But yeah, that's basically the Bad Guy expansion box. That was basically the first batch that I completed. So let's put those guys away. I mean, obviously I'm not going to run through all of the bad guys again, because obviously, like I say, they're basically duplicated and they're all more or less painted the same. So let's go on to the main box now, and I'll show you the elite Myria. So here is an elite Myria, and I've done the same sort of style as I did with the Lamenters, where the elite ones are kind of turned black and have like highly luminous insides, brewing, just overflowing with like evil magic. And then let's get the other two in. Where are we? Here. Did I do those as elites as well? Yeah, I did. So here's the other two, the elite versions or the veteran versions. Again, I think they turned out really cool. So that is that's almost all of the bad guys. Now there are a couple of bad guys that are not duplicated in the expansion pack, and that is basically. Wait a second. I always forget which section these guys go in. I think that's it. Okay, so yeah, we have two more bad guys. We have, we have the Rot Troll, which is the second tier top bad guy. This is quite a meaty model, and I was really happy with how it turned out. It's kind of based on the artwork. I don't think he has a separate card, as far as I know. So I can't actually show you any artwork because I haven't actually got the rulebook over here. Otherwise I could have shown you a picture of the artwork. I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't have his own card. No, I don't think he does. Let me just double check, hold on. We'll have a quick look in the box. Pretty sure they don't. Oh yes they do. I forgot about this card. Okay, so let's bring this in. So here we have, this is what I completely forgot about. So this is the bad guy stats card. So we have the Elementors, and we have the Myria, we have the Hellfonts, we have the Rot Troll there, and if you flip it over, that's the original rock troll, and that would be the veteran rock troll. So it's basically got one more attack dice and one more. I'm not sure what that particular fire resistance, perhaps. I'm not sure, but yeah, tougher version of it basically, and that's the elite side. This is the regular side. So there's the rock trolls artwork. Although it's not the greatest of pictures, it's still quite easy to kind of base your work on it. And I think it came out pretty cool. I'm really quite happy with the way this particular miniature came out. So that is the rock troll. Now the most powerful enemy is the Malignant himself, the sort of necromancer guy, and I decided to go with my own style for him. Now I'm pretty sure that he has his own stat card somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. It's probably actually in the same place as I found the other monsters, actually. Let's go and check that out. Sorry about this, I should have thought about this before I started the game. No. Kind of a bit stumped at the minute. Look what happened to it. Okay, that's a bit of a mystery at the minute. But we should carry on anyway. So here is the Malignant himself, and I decided to go for a sort of a black scheme for this guy. And by the way, the light's shining off him, I'm actually really happy with how he turned out. Actually, you can see that I went for almost like I kind of imagined him as kind of like a bit like what Sirius Snape wears in sort of Harry Potter. That's sort of like a plain black clothes, and he's got his like evil cane of power or staff of power, and he's got this sort of ancient hair. Who knows how old this guy's supposed to be? I almost wish that I made him a bit paler, but yeah, I was pretty chuffed with how it turned out anyway. And this guy has got, I've actually not given him the standard base, so I may well go in and give him the standard base as a secondary afterthought. So that's all the sort of main bad guys. Obviously there are also the wandering monsters, which basically count as bad guys too. Although I'm not 100% sure if they exclusively attack characters or whether they also attack enemies. We'll obviously have to look that up in the rules. So let's get going with the wandering creatures then. So in the base game, you will get 3 types of wandering creatures. And I'll just sort those out now. There we go. So the first creature up is the troglodyte. So there's the artwork, and here is the figure. So you can see that I kind of more or less just basically went with the artwork for this one, because I just couldn't picture what a troglodyte looks like in my head. But I think he came out pretty cool actually. So there's the troglodyte. Then we have the Myria, or the Dracon, sorry, which is basically, I kind of describe this as a kind of, almost like a sort of a werewolf with fists. So this is the miniature, and you can see again I kind of went pretty much with the artwork. But you can see it's kind of got like proper fists rather than paws. And whether this thing can actually stand up on its hind legs and kind of punch like a human, or whether it just punches from a prone position like that, this guy looks bad news basically, if you were to come across it. I think the troglodyte goes around stealing stuff, although again I don't think he's particularly nice to meet. But this guy is a true beefcake of a monster. So that is the Dracon. Again, pretty chuffed with how he turned out. And the final wandering creature that you got in the base box set are these things here called cankers. Now these things, I actually didn't realise they were blue on the actual artwork, but I kind of went, I guess they're black and blue. I actually went for kind of a total blue pattern for these guys. I was kind of imagining like a blue lobster. I guess that was in my mind when I was painting these guys. So that's what I kind of followed as a paint scheme for them. And I think they came out really cool. So let's get the card out of the way. So these are the cankers, and yeah, I think these guys came out really cool actually. If I put them down here, I guess they're kind of a cross between an arachnid and a lobster, because I think they've got like pincers at the front. They've got kind of like a very lobstery type tail, which also kind of looks like an abdomen from above, because the tip of it kind of curls under. But I guess these two are the pose that kind of reminded me of a lobster more than anything else. But yeah, small little creatures go around in a pack. But I think they're really cool. You can see they look really cool on the mat, which is obviously, this is the mat for Maladum that I've got down here as the floor basically. So that is the cankers, and they actually just slot into the packaging via their circular bases, so they fit in there quite easily. Okay, so that's the cankers done. Now we're going to go on to the Wandering Beasts that came as part of the Kickstarters exclusives, and there was quite a few of them. So I think there was another. Let me just. There's six more Wandering Monsters in the expansion. Not the expansion, the Kickstarter rather. Here we go, yeah. So, let's get on. And next up, we'll start off with the small. So the first of the Kickstarter exclusive Wandering Monsters is the split-tailed rat. Basically, more or less like a giant rat, but with a sort of a two-pronged tail. They look quite evil with their red eyes, but they're another sort of swarming type animal. So that's the card, and here are the split-tailed rats. Very simple paint job, these. Basically just a couple of coats of grey and kind of a fleshy, ratty type flesh on the sort of the nose and the tail, and basically give them red eyes, and that's them more or less done. So again, you get 4 of these, 2 sort of duplicated positions. And yeah, again, I think they came out pretty cool for their size. So that is the split-tailed rats. Next up, I'm going to go for what's called the Mallory, or the Mary. No, Allery, sorry, not Mallory. So this is supposed to be kind of like an evil fairy. I've heard it be described as. It's quite an ugly looking thing. It kind of looks like a cross between a sort of a dynamic zippy, but with wings. And I was kind of a little bit perplexed when I got to this guy on exactly how I was going to paint him, because he looks quite complicated to paint. But this is basically what I ended up with. And I think I'm pretty happy with it. Given it, like, white wings, but it's got like corruption flowing through them, and the fleshy parts are kind of done in a sort of rotten flesh, and the sort of the grey bits are like sort of carapace. Really evil looking thing. Not quite as evil a face as the artwork, but still pretty screwed up. Certainly something of for the nightmare fuel, you could say. So that is the Allery. Okay, so let's go for something else now. So next up, we have the Great Bear, which is basically a saber-toothed bear. Quite a big miniature. This one, so that's the artwork, and this is how the Great Bear turned out. So again, I mean, obviously a bear's a bear, but I kind of went for the similar sort of tones of colour as the artwork, and I think it came out perfectly respectable. So that is the Great Bear, and quite a meaty miniature actually. So if I like put him up against a canker, for instance, you'll see that he is quite a size difference. So that is the Great Bear. Okay, next up, we go for the this one again was quite a perplexing one to try and paint. So this is the skin shifter, and you can see that it looks kind of creepy. And I tried to follow the artwork on this one because I was kind of stumped. So this is basically what the figure turned out like. I think it came out pretty decent actually. I kind of did it with a mixture of a flesh mixed in with like rotten flesh to give it just a little bit more sort of human tone, and I gave it like a wash of kind of red blood ink, I guess you could call it, a mixture which is basically like red ink mixed in with some chestnut ink, and it makes like a really close colour to blood. And I sort of watered it down so that, because I wanted it to have like, not for him to be covered in blood as such, but for him to have, you know, basically it looks as if his skin is like damp with blood, rather than him like, you know, bleeding or whatever. And I think it came out quite cool, and it's kind of creepy really. And when you're actually looking at it in the flesh, it came out a lot more effective. It actually looks a lot more creepy on camera than it does in real life. I don't really know too much about what this thing's supposed to do, but it looks pretty nasty anyway. So that's the skin shifter. I think that's right, skin shifter. Yeah, skin shifter. Okay, next up. So next up we have the crag troll. Now this is basically the living version of a rock troll. So the figures are of the same size and of the same type of creature. However, the living version of a crag troll is not rotten like the rock troll. So I tried to sort of duplicate the same sort of colour scheme, but as if he were alive and not ancient and rotten. Yeah, I was really quite chuffed with how this guy came out actually. You can see he's got a lot more greenery and living wood and not dead wood roots growing around him. He's obviously got like a kind of rock-esque type skin, carapace covering his body. No doubt he uses that to sort of camouflage himself into rock faces and stuff. And yeah, really pleased with how the crag troll came out. Definitely one of my favourites. So that is the crag troll. And finally, for the wandering monsters, we have what's called a bloodworm. And this is the card for it. So this creature is really cool. It kind of reminded me of the rock worms that you get in Firstborn, which is the second game for Core Space. Again, I haven't really done anything with Firstborn yet, mainly because it's I never actually did much with it before I had to start getting ready to move. So it's basically kind of lost in storage at the moment. I've got everything all in the box it originally came in, and that's going to become a project when I come back across it, to actually start picking up the miniatures and that, because I do definitely want to start playing that as well. In fact, strangely enough, Core Space and that's those sort of Battle Systems games are probably one of the very few games I can probably easily play in the flat I'm in now, because I haven't really got room for a full-size gaming table anymore, which is a real shame. So that is the artwork for Bloodworm. Now I did try to follow the artwork, but again I kind of went with my own sort of colour scheme, which is very similar. But I think it came out really cool. So this is the creature, the bloodworm. Really cool. Very happy with how it turned out. It's kind of like a cross between a serpent and a centipede. I love the way the red sort of camouflage came out on his back scales. I gave him like a sort of a buff underneath, and sort of like his mouth full of razor sharp fangs, ready to devour any morsel of meat who he deems as prey. So yeah, really cool. Definitely one of my favourites, along with the crag troll, this particular creature. So there's the bloodworm, and that is all of the Wandering Monsters done. So next up, we're going to start working on characters, and this many characters, so hopefully it won't take too long. So let's start off with the first guy. This is actually the first hero that I painted too. So this is a guy, human, called Callan. And let's find him. Where is he? There he is. So that's his artwork. This is, I kind of followed his artwork, I suppose you could say. So this is the figure himself. I think he came out pretty cool. I had to do kind of a little bit of a repaint on him. I think when he first came out, I wasn't happy with it. So I went back and changed some colours, and I think he came out in the second version a lot better. Although I wouldn't say that he's one of my favourite characters, even though he's pretty fairly painted. I wouldn't say it's the best thing ever. But again, this was my first hero, and I've got to admit I did struggle a lot more with the heroes than I did with the bad guys. So that is Callum, and let's put him back. Next up, we have another human, and this is Morana. And I think again I kind of followed the artwork for her. I was sort of thinking of delving off my own direction. Now, the thing about these character cards is they actually have alternate artwork. So this is the player character side, and if you spin the card over, it becomes their NPC side. And although it's not really evident in this particular character's picture, they're generally in a different type of clothing. So you can see in this that she's actually got, although you can't really see it on camera that well, she's got almost like a teal colour undershirt and a kind of almost sort of buff or butternut type dress over that, where her original artwork is kind of like a German or Luftwaffe blue style dress and a kind of a red or crimson undershirt, and I actually went for a kind of a green undershirt, which is actually, I think the colour is Italian tank crew, and I used it's kind of like a medium blue for her cape, or a dress rather, and I used turquoise for the sort of armbands and leg wrappings, and I think she came out pretty cool. That is Morana. So next up, we have our first kind of alien creature. So this is Sirio, and he is an Eid, which is a creature which can come in several colours. I think the males are blue and the females are green. At least I'm pretty sure that's what they are. You also come across these in Core Space, because obviously this game is actually set in the Core Space universe. So there's obviously different tribes of Eid around the whole sort of galaxy. But I think generally the females are sort of like a green and the males are blue. Although I'm not 100% sure. There may be some males that are green too, so perhaps it's like two different types of same creature. So that is an Eid. The figure is actually quite cool. So I think I went. This is alternate artwork. The back there. So here's the figure, and I guess I kind of loosely based it on his artwork. It's just a little bit different, but I was very happy with how he turned out. I was happy with the blue that I chose. I was happy with his cloak and his the clothing that he's got under it. So that is Syrio. Next up, we have probably my least favourite character in this whole box. Whoops, sorry about that, just move the camera. This guy, hold on, retain the camera up. So this guy, you may think at first sight is an orc, but he's not. He's actually an Orman, which again is another alien species. I don't think we've ever come across these in core space, this particular race. But you know, I think the reason why I don't like him is because you look at him and you just think, oh, he's an orc. There's his alternate artwork there. And let's get the figure out. He's quite a meaty figure. Again, I struggled with this guy. I struggled with motivation of painting him, and I struggled with the motivation of trying to choose colours. In the end, I think I sort of semi-based it on his artwork, and once I got going, he turned out okay. So yeah, I was really happy with kind of how he turned out in the end, even though I'm not the greatest fan of the character. Now I do like him more that he's painted, but I still am not a fan. So that is Grogmar, the Orman. He's quite a meaty chap. Okay, next up we have. Let's go for it's probably one of my favourite characters of the sort of base game. So this is a human female, and she's called Narinda. And you can see she's kind of got like a cover over her face, so you kind of only see like the top half of her head. There's the alternate artwork. It's kind of like a sort of a red rather than a blue cover over her face. They all have like a quote as well, which is kind of cool on the NPC side. But there's a character side, and quite a cool character. And let's go for figure. I was really pleased with how she turned out actually. Based on the artwork, to a fair degree. Really happy with how she turned out. And I think a great figure too. Even though you can't really see her face. But yeah. That's Narinda. Okay, next up we have the wizard, Baron. Obviously human. Let's find him. Here he is. So this guy, again, I decided to go with a variation of his original colours here. but kind of swapping the blue out for a German Luftwaffe blue type colour. I gave him a green cape and more or less like blue overalls, I guess. And I just put like a little bit of like white striping at the bottom and some like runes at the bottom of his top. And yeah, I think he came out pretty cool actually. That's Baron, the sorcerer. And yeah, there's his alternate side. It's kind of like a grey scheme. Yeah, the magic's called Maladum, and that's actually the word for magic in this universe. So that is the sorcerer. There's actually various types of sorcerer. Quite a few of those characters are actually sorcerers. Next up, we have a what's called a grobbler. Let me just find the character. Where is he? Where are you? Grobbler, there he is. Got him. So, grobbler, obviously, meant to be a kind of goblin-y-esque type character, smaller than a I don't know actually, is it smaller than a human? Possibly just slightly smaller than a human. Very kind of frog-like. And here's the character. So I think I decided to go off on my own scheme on this guy. Obviously he comes with a big backpack, which I tried my best to try and paint so that it looks kind of cool. I think that came out pretty cool in the end. He's kind of got like a very odd face. He has kind of white eyes. He doesn't seem to have any pupils, so I've given him like his white eyes. And just armed with a mace by the looks of it, and a scroll. I'm not 100% sure what this guy's supposed to do, whether he's good at lifting heavy gear or whether he's a kind of a sort of a Batman type guy carrying group's gear. Again, probably my second least favourite character. Yeah, another race that's not that's completely new to Maladum and not available in core space. So that is Greet the Gobbler. And there's his alternate artwork. Yeah, his quote, "You look tired, let me carry that for you." So perhaps he's good at carrying stuff. So that was great. Next up, we have another alien. If we can just locate him. Here we go. So this guy is kind of like a monk-esque type character. Race is Traeger. Again, I don't think these guys are have been in any of the sci-fi expansions, like Core Space or Firstborn. I think this is another new race. Although there might possibly be in the original Core Space there was a race that had 4 arms like this. So it's possible that they might exist. But I think the character's blue. And I think there's possibly another in one of the civilian packs that came out. So I think they could be Traeger. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't got Core Space here to double check, but that's the character scheme. You can kind of see it's kind of buffy with kind of a green cape and sort of brown facing. And if you flip it over, you can see it's kind of reverse colours. And his quote is, "I've already offered you my best deal," so perhaps he's a bit of a wheelie dealer. So that is the artwork and the card. Here is the actual character. It's quite cool. I think I went for a Italian tank highlight, which is kind of like a meaty green, or a minty green. He has his 4 arms. One's holding a dagger, one's holding a staff. The other one's holding kind of a shakaram type weapon. And yeah, I think he came out pretty cool. I spent a lot of time trying to match his skin colour, and I still didn't get it quite pale enough, but still he looks perfectly fine. I think I'm pretty chuffed with how he came out. So that is Unga. Next up, we have Arya, and she is a human, and here's her character. So this character's got a hand crossbow and a bow on her back, and kind of like a short sword. And she's also got a sword. She's also got a sword somewhere else on her as well. I think no, she hasn't. But I kind of went with the artwork, I think, more or less on her. I think she came out okay. There's the artwork, and there's her alternate. Okay, next up, we have the weirdest dwarf-esque type guy. So this is Hendley, and he is a dweller, which is kind of a grey-skinned dwarf. And here is the character. So, as you can see, I decided to go with this kind of like the artwork on this guy. He's kind of got the grey skin, the dark grey beard. He's got this kind of blue armour or dark grey armour with kind of these luminous blue strips kind of shining through, and I think he's supposed to be like a blacksmith type character, so he can like forge weapons and stuff. Oh, he came out really cool. I was a bit really dubious about starting him. I almost thought, oh, should I like turn him into a normal dwarf and just give him a flesh colour? But no, I'm kind of glad that I decided to stick with the grey scheme now. I think he came out pretty cool. So that is Hendley. Okay, next up we have another Eid. So this is a female Eid, and she's called Galen. And let's find her. Where are you? Oops. Hold on. Oh, there she is. Actually, I'm missing somebody. I am actually. Where have they fallen off to then? Ah, there he is. Okay. I found them. They must have fallen back inside the tray. So, like I was getting back to it, we have another Eid, and I'm pretty sure this is meant to be a female, and she's called Gallon. So let's bring her in. I think I went with the artwork on this one, or very similar to it. So here we have, yeah, you can definitely tell that she's a female, I think. But the same style as Syria, the same race basically. Kind of cool. I kind of went with my own sort of variation on her brown part of her uniform. It kind of looks very sort of red leather-esque, so that's what I kind of went for. So I suppose I did kind of copy, I suppose. But yeah, happy with how she came out. She looked like she was quite a bland figure, but I think she came out quite cool in the end. So that is Gallon, the female Eid. Okay, next up we have another sorcerer-esque type of person. Now, believe it or not, even though the artwork looks very feminine, this is actually a guy. And I can't say that I'm a massive fan of this artwork. I definitely reckon that looks more female than male. However, the character definitely is on the male end of the spectrum. Again, I was kind of struggling on colours to paint this guy. I kind of based it on the artwork. I think I used just blue rather than sort of I couldn't really identify a colour that guy's arms are. But I kind of made it a sort of a German blue. And he's got the grey patch on the front and sort of blue-grey trousers. And a red cape with a couple of spell scrolls there. He's got his kind of wand. He's got like a magical stone in his hand. Yeah. I've got to say that he wasn't one of my favourite characters to paint. But yeah, he came out okay. That's Galen. Is it Galen? No, Amaric, sorry. Okay, down to 3 characters now. So let's go with Big Bertha, as I like to call her. So this is Krieger, and she's kind of like a barbarian monk type of figure. She's got those sort of those Asian battering sticks, and the character herself is quite beefy. Basically armoured, beating the crap out of people with those ancient clubs. So that is what's her name again? Krieger. Sorry. Krieger. Yeah, that's her. There's her alternate artwork, kind of like reverse colours. So blue and red. Next up, we've got final 2 to go. So we'll start off with Bram. He's a human, and yeah, again, great looking figure. I almost wish that he was clean shaven, had sort of short hair, rather than being another sort of bearded, long-haired scuzzball. But he's kind of cool. I decided to go with my own colour scheme, although it's pretty similar. I decided to again sort of base him on Luke Skywalker's Bespin style outfit, with the brown sort of khaki clothing and the brown boots and accents. And he's got his flintlock pistol, his sword. He's also got a couple of swords on his back, and he's got his, oh, you've seen his pistol, and he's also got another dagger there. Pretty cool. So that is Bram. And finally, the last character. So we have a female human called...
The sex ratio for the entire world population is approximately 101 males.
Sorry about that, that was Siri going off on some random question that she decided to make up herself. So here we have the final character. So this is Artane, and she is a human. And let's bring the figure in. Again, I was really happy with how she turned out in the end. I kind of went with her colour scheme. I decided to go with the... well, I changed the colour of her cloak. Basically, I was trying to... it looks orange, but I tried matching an orange to it, and I couldn't get an exact match. So in the end, I decided to make her cape kind of a almost like a golden red leather, and her overalls. I think I kind of matched those correctly. I'm pretty chuffed with how they came out. They highlighted well, and she's got a staff. So that is Revenant Artane, and that is it. That is all the characters in the basic Maladum box set, including all the Kickstarter exclusives. So yeah, I was really chuffed with how these guys turned out. Let's just put the lid back on to the box, wherever that may be. Can't find. Oh, there we go. There it is. So yeah, like I say, I was really chuffed to finish those guys. I'm probably going to be doing something else in between, starting the miniatures that are in the expansions, and I'll do a video on those separately when I get around, when they're sort of done themselves. It probably is not going to be as long as this. But I think I'll probably do it in a similar sort of style, and hopefully it'll go a bit smoother. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do next. I've got lots of choices. I've got vehicles, I've got figures, I've even got some Napoleonics around. I've got the old duelist set, although I haven't decided how I'm going to base those guys yet. So I can't really start them until I've decided what I want to do. So they're kind of on hold at the moment. I have got a few. Starship Trooper colonial, what are they called? Mobile infantry to finish off, and then I could perhaps do a showcase of those. I've also got various fantasy figures that I've got in for like my role-playing games that I've got going. I've also got like a couple of vehicles, a Star Wars Legion Rebel speeder truck, which I was going to again do for like core space. And I've also managed to pick up one of my bucket list items, which is an Imperial Guard Valkyrie gunship, which I wanted to do basically because I just love the model. I probably end up using it for set dressing for a game of core space or something in the end. But just trying to see if there's anything else that I've done recently that I haven't shown you. I suppose I've done these little imp guys. I could show you those. So these guys came free with an order of with another set of figures I ordered from, I think it's Alternate Armies. So you basically got these like little imps, these like Devil-esque type imps, and I thought they were quite cool. They're not normally my sort of cup of tea, but I thought they looked kind of cool, and I suppose I could kind of make up my own rules for them and put them into Maladum, because they kind of look like the sort of evil thing that'll be wandering around. Perhaps I could use them as, like, you know, maybe they could be like, I don't know, slavers or something. But I think they came out quite cool. Very simple paint jobs, but and I also used this weird, like, day glow type flocking that I've got laying around, which I think really suits their base, actually. But yeah, they're just really sort of characterful, weird little things. But yeah, like I say, they came out really well, and I'm pretty proud of them, actually. Obviously, a little bit off the Maladum chart, but there's, you know, especially there's nothing to say you can't use them. You can basically make your own rules up for Maladum if you want. It's a completely open game. You could bring in your own house rules. You could bring in your own creatures. I've also got a whole bunch of these sort of like what they call Frostgrave cultists that I painted up for a game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay when I was DMing, or GMing rather, and the adventure that I was running had a sort of a cult in it, and I've always wanted to pick up a box of these guys to basically use for. I was actually going to use them for Core Space at one point. You know, sort of use them as kind of as some sort of ganger or a cult member. But yeah, they basically ended up. I haven't done the whole box set. I've only done like a few. But I think they came out kind of cool. I'm pretty chuffed with the sort of colour scheme that I chose from. So that's just some random figures I've been painting up. I've also got again more various fantasy figures that were basically painted up again for role-playing purposes from that big set of fantasy figures that I picked up. Now, this guy, I suppose, is done very, very basically. He's not even properly finished, I suppose you could say. But he's basically like an innkeeper. And he's basically done because I needed an innkeeper fast. So he's painted up to a very, very, very basic level. I haven't even done like his eyes or anything. I just thought I could come back and do that at some point. And you can see that it's not even his base is properly finished. But he's quite a cool figure. And you can see that I think he came out pretty cool for. I suppose you could say he's like maybe like 95% done. He only really needs a bit of his eyes and his eyes done really, and maybe making him a bit dirtier perhaps. But yeah, that's one of the fantasy figures that I've painted up. The others are actually in another box that's kind of just out of my reach, so I can't really show you those particular guys at the moment. But yeah, that's more or less what I've been up to. I've of course got loads of new stuff in that I've kind of picked up. For instance, I've got some Spectre stuff in. I decided to pick up the new Spectre Start set. And you got a whole bunch of figures in those. I've also picked up a few Spectre sets on their own. I've also got loads of like War of the Roses stuff, and basically building up a new mountain, basically. And to tell you the truth, I'm still kind of not fully back into painting yet. I mean, I've got most of my sort of basic paint supplies in now. I don't think there's much more that I haven't got in that's kind of paint related, but I really want to start getting all the rest of my gaming stuff in, including hopefully being able to refine all of my Napoleonic stuff, so I can actually get on with finishing my first core, because that's something that I'd really like to finish. I mean, I'm so close now. I mean, I've basically just got like I think two battalions of Dutch militia, and maybe an artillery battery, and then maybe 7 or 8 command. Only because I decided to change out my entire British units command. The 3rd Infantry Division. The figures that I used for that were like mainly warlord stuff, and I really don't like those guys. Their horses are under scale. They look funny. So I basically got in a whole bunch of elite miniatures command figures that are basically going to replace all the British commanders up to division commanders, up to the actual brigade commander. You know, not only brigade commanders but also division commanders, and also the general of the actual division. And then of course the Prince of Orange himself, which I believe, and well, I'm obviously missing loads of like Parry's boxes basically, of which the Prince of Orange is part of, as well as all my Napoleonic bases, and all of my spare figures, stuff like that. That will obviously come in handy when I go to sort of basically finish off the that particular corps, and then I'll probably end Napoleonics for a fair while, and switch my focus to other things. But yeah, so that's basically this kind of update, dual update. It's quite a long video. I think it's been going for like an hour. It's crazy. Anyway, I'll catch you all next time. Till then, catch you later. Bye bye.